Chapter 18. Active Service.
What the fuck are you doing?
The guy smacked the torch hard, and the thick beam somersaulted, lashing across other superfluous faces, revealing the walls, the floor, the ceiling, and so they were all there after all. A corridor, a door, men. The men screwing up their eyes and swearing. Two images emerged side by side, looking familiar to Artyom. One fat-lipped and balding, his silvery temples sheared with electric clippers, wearing an officer's pea jacket. The other one, sharp-nosed, with bags under his eyes and neatly trimmed hair. Where could Artyom know him from? It's as if they'd met in a dream. While the torch was tumbling into the corner, Artyom had time to grab hold of his automatic, but not to aim it at Svinolop. They grabbed hold of his arms and the gun and tore them apart. The light went out. In the pitch-black darkness, various strangers threw themselves on the two familiar-looking red silhouettes, shielding them against bullets. "They're Reds!" Artyom wheezed. "Let go of me! We brought cartridges for the Reds! They're Reds!" "Easy now, easy." "Now what kind of shit have you got shouting his head off here, huh?" A hand in a fingerless leather glove, like Gaia's, shut Artyom's mouth. The taste was like gun oil, diesel gunpowder, and old blood. Artyom sank his teeth into it, tugged, and shouted God only knew what with his mouth full. Chewing on it didn't help, like Gaia had no nerves. The device was torn off his forehead, and his night vision went blind. "Don't touch him!" like Lyoka's voice, and the clatter of Lyoka's automatic rifle. "Safa, they're battering our men!" "Let him go, let him go!" That was Savelli. "Or I'll drop everyone there now." Dmitry, Omega. There was a grunt in the blackness, the gurgle of a strangled throat, the flash of a burst of fire into the ceiling, and someone wheezed, tried to break free, and howled frenziedly. "Do we finish them?" someone asked in the darkness, breathing fitfully. "So, you specials have a few problems of your own," the invisible Svinolop chuckled. "Right, guys?" "Not now. Not now. Bring them this way. Follow me." The guy has deep bass. "The colonel said if they've pulled anything flaky." "I know what the colonel said. Bring them and follow me." "What happened?" A familiar voice, not Svinolop's, but different, weary and lordy. The sound of it, a vision of a brothel, rose up in front of Artyom's unseeing eyes, with curtains lit from the inside. "That's it. Sorry about this little hitch. Let's take them and leave." The Gaia. Hands of steel dragged Artyom along the floor. Behind him, his comrades started jerking their legs about, but the soldiers of the order were well trained. You couldn't break their grip. "Bring them over here. Put them right here." "Right, that's all. I'll sort this out myself. You go up, and you keep your ugly mugs on the floor." "The colonel said to waste them all if anything started up." "Waste us? Are you totally berserk?" Savelli shouted, coming round. "Dmitry, I remember. I'll hand you this. Have you searched them? Are they clean?" "They're clean." "Right then, move on. I'll be quick." "Okay, guys." They draw their agreement dubiously. Let Gaia do it. It's his sidekick. Heels clattered, seemingly moving away, but also dubiously disassembling. Apparently going up, but as if they were just moving aside. The oil-soaked leather released Artyom's mouth. "That's Svinolop, the Reds KGB. We gave the Reds cartridges. The Reds! We gave them cartridges. I've got any clue what you're doing?" "I have my orders, brother," the Gaia replied gently. "Deliver. That's what I deliver. And who I deliver to what is none of my business." "The Reds. The Reds, cartridges, the two of us fought them in the bunker. Our boys died there. Number 10, Ullman, Shlapia. The Reds killed them. Do you remember that? They almost killed you and me. How could we? How could you all help them?" "We were told to collect the stuff from the depot and bring it here and hand it over." "You're lying," Artyom yelled, blowing his top. "You're fucking lying, you bastard. You scumbag. You're a traitor to them and me. All of them who are killed, our boys, both of you. You and that old rat. You betrayed everybody. What was it for? What did they croak for? So we could give the Reds weapons? Cartridges?" "Easy now, easy." It's aid, it's not cartridges. They've got a famine. They're going to buy mushrooms with those cartridges from Hansa. From Hansa. All of their own harvest has rotted. I don't believe you, any of you.
What a load of crap.
Leoka said into the stone floor. What about you? Do you believe it? You? My job. What is your job? Do you think I didn't hear? You were told to waste me if I didn't swallow this, right? What does flaky mean? I was supposed to swallow this. You and me, the two of us, giving the Reds cartridges? I'm sorry. I'll never forgive you. Not you. One blood, you bastard. You. How do you feel right now? How can you believe now, Lekaya? What in? What now? What's it all for? For the rations? You, don't you? Come on, you know, right? I couldn't give a shit about anything. I'm going to croak anyway. Shoot! Carry on your orders. Group A fucking minus. Only let my guys go. These two. What do you want with them? The old man doesn't owe them anything. There's nothing to even get for. Legaya said nothing, breathing loudly through his nose, something metallic hovering tensely close beside Archim. But he didn't feel death that was already waiting to happen. Well, the stinking leather shoved all the sounds back into Archim again. Get up, you two, Legaya ordered in a whisper. I'm sorry, Archim. A pistol cracked into his ear. Once, twice, 3 times. Nothing changed. In pitch darkness, how can you distinguish life from death? That was how, from the taste of blood and diesel, gunpowder, and oil in his mouth, he was alive. Hold hands, Legaya whispered. If anyone comes adrift, I'll waste him on the spot. They didn't try to run from him blindly. They put their trust in Legaya one last time. Legaya's palm led Archim, silenced now, hurrying along, and the others followed him in a chain.
Hey, how are you going down there? All done?
Someone called to them from the escalator. Now, how to run. If they catch us, they'll snuff me with you. They ran, not looking, not seeing, holding each other's cold fingers, slippery with sweat of imminent death.
Where are you going?
Someone roared from above them. Halt! The guy didn't seem to know where. He was simply running, anywhere. After 30 seconds, something started whistling around them, and boots started clattering behind. They turned off somewhere, stumbling and crashing into each other, getting in each other's way. Who is he, this Felixovich? Archim demanded from that guy as he ran. Besilov, who's this Besilov? Who has our old man sold us to, huh? A pillar of light shot out from the sky. The 4 of them shied away from it like cockroaches. They poked their noses into dead end and turned back. The running feet moved away and started moving closer again. And again, that indistinct, chesty droning oozed out the cracks in the blackness. Like the very beginning when they were just coming down into Komsomol Station. And again, mute bullets was zipped past close by, bouncing against the walls and flew off at random, sparing them reluctantly. They poked their noses. Besilov, who is he? Archim persisted. Who is he? You know, Legaya. You know. Tell me. Legaya stopped, confused. Maybe because everywhere here was equally black. Everywhere was equally far from warm, red life, and there was no way to find any direction. Legaya switched on his torch.
There they are, that way over there.
They were standing by a welded grill. Legaya took aim and shot off the padlock. 3 of them jerked the bars outward, and they squeezed in and crawled away from death on all 4s. Maybe the others wouldn't bother to chase them after. The groaning was growing louder as the choir warmed up. It flew into their faces like a wind from the pipe they were crawling along. Archim's eardrums, heart, and spleen were already vibrating in tune with it, and the men behind were keeping up, trying to carry out their orders, tickling the back of his head with their torch beams, trying to choose a target. The guy came across something, some kind of iron cover. The droning in the other side was as loud as if the cover was screwed onto a pressure cooker in the stove and about to be blown off by an explosion of steam at any moment. He pressed down hard on the cover. No use. The rest had already put down roots. The salt had grafted the bolt to the frame. A bullet zipped through the air and bit the last one in line. Savelli.
Get against the wall.
The guy stretched out his hand and turned his torch on their pursuers, dazzling them. Zap, zap, zap. He replied in lead, and Artyom thought he wounded someone in the sealed-off pipe. It was hard to miss.
Give me some fucking help, will you?
2 of them stamped hard, then 3. The iron in their path hesitated and then slumped down. Savelli caught another bullet and squealed. They dragged down his limp body after them through the hole that had burst open. They tumbled straight out of the ceiling into the tunnel into 1,000 screaming people. They fell on their heads, but didn't get hurt. Now it was clear what the groaning was. Food. Artyom had never seen so many people at once anywhere. It was in an unusual tunnel, immensely wide to take 2 sets of tracks at once, with right-angle vaults, and it was completely flooded with people for as far as the eye could see. There was a whole sea of people here, and the sea was raging. The 4 of them had fallen about 50 meters from the station, and they started sculling through the living bodies in that direction, toward the light. They pulled Savelli behind them, not looking to see where the bullets had hit him. Savelli caught hold of Artyom's collar, pulled himself up from his low tank driver's height, and shouted into Artyom's ear in a whisper. Artyom shrugged it off. Come on, what is all this? You've still got years and years of life ahead of you. They couldn't just stop and stand still. And the huge crowd was swaying, and it could crush them against the wall or trample them underfoot. They had to keep going to get lost in this crunch. Their pursuers could follow them out any second now. The bodies here were gaunt and exhausted, with the skin hanging loose on them. Forcing a way through them felt like it. It felt like the flesh bones snagged on them as they moved past, like ribs of a kitchen grater, seeming to plane a little bit of something off each one of them for themselves. It was the famine that had gathered them together and herded them here from all over the red line, Artyom realized. But why here? Mushrooms. It was strange that the people could even stay on their feet. There couldn't be any strength in those emaciated stick legs, but not all of them could stay up. Every now and then, Artyom stumbled over something that had given in. His boots trod in something soft. Stomachs, maybe, and slithered off something hard and round, but the living could no longer weep for anything except mushrooms. It was easy to guess the right direction. All the heads in the tunnel were turned the same way. In between their roaring, the people quietly hummed the word, Komsomol. They moved along with the others and through them, towards Komsomol station, with just the backs of people's heads turned toward them, short cropped with their hair hanging loose, shaved gray or white, as if people here got by without faces. Artyom looked back and saw one black figure in an ordered balaclava dive out of the ceiling like a little toy soldier, followed by another one. The guy hadn't carried out his orders, but the others wouldn't disobey. The heavy, heaving surf swallowed up the divers. Now they would start swimming to find Artyom and drown him. He redoubled his efforts, and he walked on with his knees bent, so that his black uniform would be hidden behind other people's brownish shoulders, and he tugged the others down too. They couldn't talk to each other. The weeping and roaring of the human sea drowned everything out, so all they were doing was opening and closing their mouths without making a sound. Everything they tried to say something about turned into mushrooms. They got through to Komsomol station, the radial line station, the red one. They looked up at it from the tracks. It was immense, solemn, and terrifying. The station was a bit like Lenin Library Station in some ways. It was also high enough for 2 stories and looked absolutely unearthly. Right-angle vaults with nothing rounded off, immensely tall columns, classical ones, with frizzy ears of wheat thrusting up against the ceiling. It was all about bread at the station, all about the most important thing of all, an atheist temple of the harvest, with the columns faced in blackish-brown marble with sprays of red. The walls by the tracks of faced in tiles, like torture chambers, and the ears of wheat just below the ceiling cast in bronze, like swords. The crowd was standing on the platform and on the tracks. The people on the tracks were trying to clamber up on the platform, and the people clinging onto the platform were trying not to fall off onto the tracks. And as they sang their hymn of hunger with a heavy groan from the chest, they all shoved forward towards somewhere farther ahead. The station was in semi-darkness. Torch beams falling from above roamed over white and naked craniums, like over the crests of waves, as if they were searching for survivors of a shipwreck in stormy water. Archim threw his head back and looked up. Komsomol Station had a second level, balconies running around the whole station about 4 meters above the platform, and those balconies hadn't been flooded yet. There were only Red Army men with automatic rifles standing there, with the barrels propped on the handrail for convenience. But who were they supposed to aim at? It couldn't be everyone at once. There were officers standing spaced out between the soldiers. They were trying to shout something through the loudspeakers, but the roar of the crowd blotted out their hoarse electrical straining. Archim and the others clambered up on the platform over shoulders, over heads, over each other. He looked back again and spotted black wool faces in the crowd, and they spotted his black figure too. He squatted down, sweating. All his wounds started talking to him at once. The shoulder with a hole in it, the shattered knee, the lacerated back. They said, "No more, that's enough. Stop. Stay here." Up ahead, he caught sight of where everyone wanted to go so desperately. At the center of the hall, a broad marble stairway descended from the balconies into the people like an emergency escape chute. There used to be another two, one at the end of each hall, but they had been demolished and walled off, so the central one was the only way up, and into the connecting passage to the Circle Line, to Hansa. That was what the crowd was pushing towards. 3 lines of border guards were standing on the steps. Barbed wire had been wound onto the portable barriers, and on the intermittent landing machine guns snarled in both directions from thoughtfully installed nest. Absolutely no way up had been left here. Mushrooms. The station roared. It seemed like the whole line was roaring. Mothers with bundles in their arms. Some had silent ones, some had ones that were still squealing. Fathers with goggle-eyed children on their shoulders. Hold them up higher, higher, so the dead can't trip them up and drag them on the floor, down to the bottom. They all wanted to get to the stairway, to the steps. They all knew that no one here would give them any mushrooms. They all needed to get to the Circle Line. There was no other road to life left. Why had the crowd held back from rushing the thin fences? Basically no more than air framed by pipe and wire. People were already pressing toward them, getting close to those barbs, eyeing them and the Red Army men hungrily. The Red Army men brandished their rifle butts at the hungry people, but the red line hadn't been crossed yet from either side. How had such a huge horde of people gathered at Komsomol Station? Had anyone tried to stop them leaving from their own stations farther along the line? What had happened to whomever tried? Archim didn't know, but they kept on arriving out of the tunnel, clambering onto the platform over other people's shoulders, packing themselves in tighter and tighter, 3 people, or 5, or 7 to a square meter. It had to burst any moment now. That soap bubble membrane between the soldiers and the people, the final sand-grained seconds before an atomic explosion were running out. It was appallingly stuffy in here. It was as hot as in a foundry. There was nowhere at Komsomol Station for those who had come here to get any oxygen. The people breathed rapidly and shallowly, and the station was shrouded in haze from the water they breathed out of themselves. Archim looked back again. Where are the black faces in the crowd? And he glimpsed them, closer now, as if they could sense where to look for him, and nothing could put them off their trail. But something was happening up under the ceiling. All those people, thousands of them, took each other's example and started turning their faces upwards. A resolute convoy was striding rapidly along the balcony, led by a surging tank-like figure, Svinelop. It was eerily reminiscent of the service that a priest and his assistants who were invited in from somewhere had once held at exhibition during the Dark One's time. The armed escorts were carrying something, stopping beside each of the snipers at the balustrade. Svinelop confers some of it on them. Artyom's faltering heart sank like a stone as he realized what they were being blessed up there with. The very cartridges that he and Lekgaya had brought an hour earlier. And there it was, the cure for famine. There's your aid. Artyom grabbed Lekgaya by the shoulder and jabbed his finger upward. Up there, that's yours. When he'd gone round all the marksmen, pepping up each one, Svinelop walked down to the sandbag nest in the landing between the stories. His ratoon started feeding the machine gun crews with cartridges. The major whispered something in the ears of the crew's commanding officers, then slapped them on the shoulder. The people down below were in a turbulent mood, but sensing what was going on up above, they started falling dumb. The choir turned ragged and lost its nerve. Svinelop addressed the people in a booming voice.
Comrades, he trumpeted, in the name of the leadership of the Red Line, I request you respect the laws of our state, including the law on the freedom of assembly. Please disperse.
Mushrooms! Someone shouted. Mushrooms! The crowd yelled into support. Let us go! A woman's voice squealed up above the roar of the crowd. Let us go, you monster! Here, let us out! Svinelop nodded, as if in agreement.
We have no right to allow you into the territory of another state. I demand that you disperse.
We're starving. My little daughter died. Save us. Let us out. I can barely stand. My belly hurts, but you're so fat, you guzzler. Let us go. Let us out. The crowd said in a babble of voices. To Hansa and food. They won't let these people into Hansa. Artyom thought dully and slowly in the sultry heat. They'll never let these people into Hansa. Hansa knows everything. About the jammers, about the cartridges, about the Reich, about living space. About the Reds, about the famine. They won't let these people in.
This is an act of provocation, and those who call for it are provocateurs.
Svinelop rapped out running for a slow, meticulous gaze over the crowd. Everyone there seemed to be remembering his face, so they could get even afterwards.
And we won't waste words on provocateurs.
We're dying, all of us. We're exhausted. Have pity. Lord, deliver us. Rescue us. Don't let it happen. Don't let us perish. Just a crumb, some broth. Not for me, for the child. You scum, let us go. The crowd stopped talking normally, started groaning again with the chest made of clay. Mushrooms. The people at the back moved closer to the footbridge, the stairway. Svinelop, and they squeezed the people at the front. The people at the front breathed out together to make space for themselves. And that exhalation set the station, the shrine of harvest, trembling. The people wanted to go up the steps to the inner sanctum, as if bread or wine had been made ready for them. But there was nothing in there, only a sacrificial altar and a knife. Now it all happened. Now everything would be hot and slippery. Svinelop couldn't talk them out of this, and he wasn't even trying. They had to be saved, stopped from gotten out of here. What did they all have to die here? They could carry on living. He had to do it. Artyom was being swayed together with the others, toward the barbed wire and back again. The swaying made him feel sick. He only had a little drop in the beggarly air left, and he used that drop to say it first in a whisper, then in a loud voice. There's nothing here. There's nothing for you there. Don't go to Hansa. Nobody wants you. Do you hear me? All you people, don't go. Please don't. Not many people heard Artyom, but Svinelop heard. He was standing quite near. You see, there's no one waiting for you there, he said languidly, supporting Artyom's for form's sake. Your place is here. But where then? Where to? Where can we go? The people close by became agitated, and the agitation started ripping out in circles from Artyom. They don't know anything, do they? Artyom remembered. They believe there isn't anything apart from the metro, apart from Moscow. They were all lied to, told that the world was burnt out, that they're alone, that they're being held in these tunnels underground. Nobody even explains anything to them about our enemies. They've just been locked up here underground in the darkness. Go up to the surface. You should go up. The world is still intact up there. We're not the only ones who survived. Do you hear me? We're not alone. Moscow isn't alone. There are other cities. I've heard of them myself on the radio. You can leave this place and go anywhere, wherever you want. Live wherever you want. Everything's wide open. The whole earth is wide open. People started looking round, trying to find him. Artyom realized that this was the moment right now when he had to tell them so that they would know and could decide for themselves. Someone lent their arms to support him. Someone lent him on their back, and he started climbing up them to stand on the other people's shoulders so that he could be heard. You've been deceived. They're all still up there. Petersburg, Ekaterinburg, Vladivostok. It's still there, all of it. We're the only ones down here in the pig shit. We slurp it down. We breathe it. The sun's up there, but we guzzle pills instead. They keep us here in the darkness, in this stifling air. They keep us here. They shoot us. They hang us. And we strangle and butcher each other. But what for? For someone else's ideas? For these stations? For the tunnels? For mushrooms? Mushrooms! The crowd echoed. What the fuck are you doing? The guy wheezed up at him. You've blown our cover. Now they start all creeping out of here. Artyom embraced the people with his inflamed eyes, so dry and hot. How could he explain to them? How could he get through to all of them? The black balaclavas surfaced like little buoys, Miller's errand boys. Now they drag him down off other people's shoulders, but he mustn't hide now. Now he absolutely had to say everything that he hadn't told them before, through the jammers. Svinilov stood there without saying anything, waiting to see if this half-dead specimen could persuade the others to move away from the stairway. The marksman waited for his command. We're all dying here. We grow tumors, goiters. Everything we have is stolen. Food. We steal it from our children. Clothes. We steal them from the dead. We beat each other to a pulp in the tunnels. The Reds, the Browns. It's all pointless. All of it, brothers. Pointless. We eat our own kind in the darkness. We don't know anything. Everyone lies to us. Everyone. What for? To achieve what? But where can we go? They all shouted to him. Up to the surface. You can leave. You can escape. There's a way out. Behind you. In the tunnel. A hatch. Go back to freedom. Freedom is there. There. Climb up. Up and out. And go wherever you like. Yourselves. Live for yourselves. He wants to turn us away from Hansa, someone yelled in spite. He saw the black pupils of gun barrels, 1, 2, staring at him, but he hadn't told the people everything yet. He started hurrying. He'll be killed for nothing here. You'll be killed, and no one will ever know. There's a whole world out there, and we're here, shut in under a lid. We'll all croak, every last one of us, and no one will ever know. It's all pointless. Leave. Don't do this. Go back. Where will we get mushrooms from? Stooge! They all shouted. He's a stooge! Don't listen to him, people! Wait! Artyom waved his hand, and just at that moment someone spat lead at him out of the crowd. The movement of his wave diverted the bullet from his heart. It hit him in the shoulder, the left one again. It jolted Artyom, put him off track, toppled him back into the crowd, and the moment he stopped speaking, the crowd immediately forgot everything. Mushrooms! Someone howled in a shrill voice. Mushrooms! The people groaned. The guy managed to drag Artyom out, steady him to his feet, and shield him with his own body. Just a second before the crowd moved. The last time! Svinilov barked, but the back rows couldn't hear him and couldn't see him. Out of the corner of his eyes, through the polyethylene sheet, Artyom saw Svinilov slap a machine gunner on the shoulder, then run up the steps to the balcony and away, out of the station. He had to get back to work, deal with important business. It wasn't permissible for him to be killed. He left, and it all started without him. Let's go! Let us go! The crowd told the machine gunners. Ligaya dragged Artyom against the people's movement, farther away from the barriers, farther away from the gun barrels, pulling away with all his bearish strength, but the current dragged them back to impale them on barbed wire and the bullets that were almost ripe. Fire! The machine guns thundered, fanning the humming burst out and mowed down the first row, mowed it down with Artyom's bullets. Have mercy, someone squealed. Lords, have mercy. Have mercy on us, Lord, groaned someone else, a woman. We'll die here. Have mercy. Up there, go. On the surface, you don't have to die. Go up to freedom, Artyom shouted to them, but he was drowned in the call that had spread instantly like electricity. Have mercy. And with that lamentation, all the thousands upon thousands advanced against the barriers, against the machine gun. Have mercy, O Lord. They hadn't been taught how, so each of them spoke those 3 words to their own music. The sinister chorus was weird and unearthly. They tried to tug their trapped arms up to cross themselves, but they couldn't get them out from down there. They moved forward with no arms, stepping on those who had been mowed down, not learning anything from them. Have mercy, Leoka howled, clutching his own Christ. Those at the front fell, and the second row became soft shields for the third. Artyom, Ligaya, Leoka, and Saveli wanted to go back away from the machine guns, but the crowd wanted to go forward anyway, because it couldn't see anything for itself there behind. Artyom was armless himself. There was absolutely no way he could stop the crowd now. The automatic rifles up above began howling down on the heads, and people started going limp here and there. But in the crush, they couldn't fall anymore, and remained standing on their feet, even after they had died. No one here was afraid of death. Maybe they wanted to be slaughtered in order to do something at last with lives that they were sick and tired of, be at peace. They simply chanted, "Have mercy." They carried on walking toward the stairway that led upward, as they understood, up and toward the bullets. While the magazine of the machine guns was being changed, mere seconds, 100 hands grabbed the barrier and dismembered it. A moment later, they had gouged out the machine gunner's eyes, torn the commanding officer of the detail to pieces, and strangled all the others. And they all started creeping upward, the living and the dead together, like lava out of a volcano. They didn't even take the drowned men's weapons. They had no time for that. The gunmen flew down from the stairway in the balustrade. In silent consent, Artyom was walking back toward the tunnel, toward the hatchway, but even so he went up the stairs to the balconies with everyone else. He was carrying toward the connecting passage to Hansa. The Red Army men, over whom the people hadn't flooded yet, started retreating, already begging the crowd for forgiveness, but they shouted too quietly, so they were killed anyway. Saveli slipped away and sank, and he never surfaced again, and hundreds of those thousands, or perhaps even thousands of those thousands, also disappeared. Someone tugged on Artyom's sleeve. He looked back and saw a woman, gaunt, with bluish-gray skin. Young man, I can't do it. They'll crush my son," she shouted to him. "They'll crush him. Hold him, lift him up. They'll crush him. I can't do it." He looked down and saw a boy about 6 years old, with light blonde hair and a smear of bloody snot under his nose. He managed to jerk the boy up to himself just in time. "Okay, where do I take him? Who are you? What's your name?" "Kolya." "And mine's Artyom." At first, Kolya put his arms around Artyom's neck, but so that he wouldn't slip off, but he was being crushed. He managed to change his grip and scrambled up onto Artyom's neck. Kolya's mother took hold of his hand. She held it for a while, then let go. Artyom twitched fretfully. Where was she? She was standing there, caught in the vice grip of the crowd. She couldn't fall, but her head was dangling down, shot through. That way! That way! Little Kolya shouted from Artyom's shoulders. He hadn't noticed them yet that his mother had been killed. Ligaya walked in the front, massive and indomitable. Artyom and Kolya followed him. Leoka latched onto his crucifix, and he was clinging to it like the broken mast of his ship, praying with only 3 words he knew as he sculled along. Somehow they managed to stick together. They were swept along as far as the Hansa border. Mama? Mama, where are you? The little boy called, remembering about her, but there wasn't anyone now where he had left her. All the Reds had been swept aside and trampled to death. Flags appeared out of the darkness of the passages, a brown circle on a white ground. Up, Archim pleaded with the people. Not this way, go up! Mama? Mama? The boy tried to climb down and jump onto the grindstones to drag his mama out himself, but Archim caught him. He would have been trampled down in a second. The thought came to Archim that he couldn't abandon this boy now. He had to take him as his own, take him and keep him for as long as his own life lasted. But how could he raise him? Suddenly he pictured himself back with Anya. They had this kid he was clutching by the ankle. They all lived together in Polis at exhibition. He suddenly wanted to go there, into that life, to take a look just for a minute. The searchlights above the fortifications lit up and tried to blind the people, but even blinded, the people knew which way to go. Mushrooms. This is a state border, someone shouted to them. The Federation of Stations of the Circle Line. We'll open fire and shoot to kill. Have mercy. And that was all. They had all survived in vain back there on the steps. Archim took the boy off his shoulders and into his arms, so that the bullets wouldn't pick him off above all the heads. The boy tried to break free, and Archim thought, damn, what a responsibility. Now I have to drag him around with me everywhere. But Sukhoi, how had Sukhoi taken Archim, just taken him and dragged him around all his life, exactly like that? Someone had picked up by chance. He was able to do it, but what about Archim? Could he do it? The guns chattered. The ones at the front, the bravest, came crashing down. The ones behind them, desperate people, fell, but the others kept jostling from behind. The third row, the fourth row, the 100th, the 200th. Archim turned his back on the front to the shield Kolya. Mama? Said Kolya. Hush, Archim told him. They walked past a dead man in a black balaclava who had lost his way. It's frightening to take responsibility for someone else, especially a 6-year-old. To bind yourself to him for the rest of your life. How did you do that? Kolya realized and stopped struggling. Archim looked down. The boy was dead, with his arms hanging loose and with his legs dangling, his light blonde head thrown back and little holes in his chest. He had been caught by falling bullets at the end of their flight, and he had shielded Archim. You cowardly bastard, Archim told himself. You stinky coward, you shit. He wiped away the snot and looked for a place to put the boy down, but there wasn't anywhere. Then, the three of them were tossed toward the reinforcements and the Hansa machine guns. They were exactly the same kind of machine guns, no different at all from the Reds, and the bullets were probably the same. They killed in exactly the same way. The muzzle was turned toward them, spitting death, but Lagaya remembered about his sniper's rifle and stopped the machine gunner halfway. A second later, the emplacement was swept away by the wave, and the body was dragged across the stone slabs. Archim held Kolya in his arms for as long as he could, but he lost him anyway. Absolutely everything was smothered in people. The dead stared indifferently, kept silent. The others couldn't do that. Those who went on roared. Those bullets were flying toward mumbled about mercy. The dying finished up their conversations with God. No one was listening to anyone else. But suddenly, they started taking hold of each other's hands to walk in chain and not get split up. Archim's hand was taken on one side, then on the other. People he didn't know, warm, ardent hands. They didn't hold on for long. When they had taken a few steps, the little man on the left let go, then the man on the right. They were already walking over the crumpled faces of the Hansa border guards, and the vanguard of the starving was already bowling through the barbed wire. They had already reached the Circle Line Komsomol station when the flamethrowers jumped out behind them like fiends from hell. Archim and Lagaya and other people were swept out into a huge, stately hall, a ceiling covered in happy mosaics, chandeliers giving undeserved light, caressing and divine. Well-washed little people screeching and recoiling from the invasion. and the defectors, the intruders, like rats, like cockroaches, hurrying and scurrying to get out of this palace and out of sight, into the tunnels, into the burrows, to scatter before they were all caught. Behind them in the passages, the flamethrowers started roaring. The first people who were burned howled. The smell of roasting flesh and burnt hair spread through the air, but Archibald, Gaia, and Lyoka ran, with their arms around each other, into the blackness of the tunnel, without looking back to see what they had left behind them. Someone shouted in the tunnel behind them, ordering them to stop. Hans's security guards who had rushed to the scene were already arresting people, dragging them back home to the Red Line. These fugitives weren't wanted here. 3 of them didn't talk to each other. There wasn't enough air for talking. Before the exit to Kursk Station, there happened to be a connecting passage between tunnels, and after wounding the guards, they managed to get out through it onto the other line, Arbat-Provosk Station. Like Gaia remembered about the ventilation shaft there, they scrambled out among the courtyards of dilapidated, detached brick houses, between the flaking gold of church domes and the flaking gold above smashed shop windows. He sat down to take a breather, deafened by all the shouting and screaming. Gaia didn't say anything. Lyoka batted his eyelids in confusion. Archim puked. They had a smoke. "How do you feel about it now?" Archim asked Gaia. "Got the idea?" Gaia shrugged his bearish shoulders. "They killed the kid. I was holding him. I saw. They killed him with our cartridges," Archim told him. "Svinlop, that scumbag, the Major, with your cartridges. He must have run out of his own. They were waiting for us. He just left, alive. All those corpses were left back there, but he's alive, and he'll go on living. I was following orders. He was following orders too. It's pretty certain he didn't think it all up himself. All of them were following orders. Why the hell are you comparing me with him? It would be great if we could kill someone too," said Lyoka. "The one who did think all of this up, that fucking twat. So, there'd be no more orders like that." I was sure he'd croak. I put 2 bullets in him. Should have shot him in the forehead. Archim's left arm had gone numb and his shoulder was soaking wet, but he wasn't allowed to think about his shoulder right now. "What's the point of taking out the Major?" Lyoka objected. "There are shitloads of Majors. Take out the Major and you only make a captain happy. You have to take out the field marshal straight off." If I had finished him off back there, what would have changed? They would have charged the machine guns anyway. I told them. They don't understand anything. I told them they could leave the place, go up on top. They don't hear anything. None of them. Even the ones who are going to croak any moment. It's easy for them to storm a machine gun than go up there. What can you do? The guy snorted bloody snot into his hand, stared absent-mindedly, wiping it on his trousers. He rubbed his forehead. "Fuck them. You can't change their direction. They're like a herd of animals. Where can I go?" he asked. "This is desertion. There isn't anywhere to go." Archim looked at him for a moment. The fireproof man. He didn't burn, because there was nothing there to burn. If only Archim could be like that. His ears were gradually uncorking themselves. His stretched eardrums were shrinking back. And then, from down below, out of the crevices, sewer manholes, and the drainage gratings, through the ventilation system, from all sides, sounds started welling up from underground, weeping and howling, weak, muffled by the heavy Moscow clay, reflected off numerous bends in the fractured pipes, an echo. The people couldn't escape. Only their voices could. It was like a birth. Moscow was like a woman who had already died, but the children in her petrifying womb were still alive, and they wanted to be born. They were crying inside there. But Moscow didn't let anyone else out. She pressed her concrete cunt shut, squeezed all her children to death. After their torment, they fell silent and were never born. And their smokes ran out. It was night. Moscow had been dunked into this night as if it was a bucket of dirty water to wash all the blood off it. When the murky night ended, there would be a murky day, and on that day, no one would find out what happened on the day before. Everything would be washed out in the night. Who would find out about the Black Tunnel, where some people had flailed at others with pickaxes? No one. Who would find out about the jammers? No one. Who would find out about the atheists crossing themselves as they charged the machine guns, and what they all died for? What the reason was? Nagaya, do these enemies exist? The West, America, are they real? Do they exist at all? Tell me honestly. Nagaya squinted at him, but in the darkness it seemed as if his eyes had evened out. They were looking straight and true. They must. The fuck do we need enemies for? Like Leoka asked. We get along just fine without them. If they wanted to, they'd zap us anyway, just to make sure. The coup de grace. If they were seriously afraid of us. Have you ever thought about that? No. All the other cities, Petersburg, Vladivostok, and all the small fry. Why don't they bomb them? Have you thought about that? Or have they taken them all and were the last ones left unconquered? No. What's it to you if I've got nothing about it? I've thought about it or not. The point is, if there aren't enemies, you can give a shit about us, like Gaia. The enemies. Nobody needs us. You bought that story and so did I. We're always thinking that someone needs us real bad. That we're the center of the universe. That we're the last ones, or the only ones, or the most important ones. That fate of the world is being decided right here. Like fuck, nothing's being decided here. We build empires here. We can store machine guns, croak on construction sites, feed ourselves to the dogs, save the human race. And it's all under a lid. Our entire struggle, sacrifices, and heroism. It's nothing but the heroism of ants in an anthill. No one can hear them. We croak for nothing. Take away that lid. Shield. It's a shield, not a lid. Take away that shield and nothing will change. I'm certain of it. Our enemies don't need us, like Gaia. We need our enemies. I'm certain, like Gaia said painfully and fiercely. I'm certain the old man is telling the truth. Then he's a stupid fuck. Archer replied just as fiercely. He's a stupid fuck, and you've been head-fucked. And I'm a stupid fuck too for swallowing that story back at Balashika. And now it's too late. There's nothing else I can do. That was the moment. We should have all smashed those jammers to hell, flattened them all, and then seen what happened. Right, Savelli? Right, Leoka replied for the trampled Savelli. You wouldn't have achieved anything, Legaya spat out. There are lots of those jammers planted all around Moscow, and people wouldn't have believed you anyway. Because you've all been fucking them for 20 years. How can they believe it's not their fault, is it? I never head-fucked anyone. Uh-huh. You call everyone who doesn't fit into your story. That's with enemies. I'm defending the homeland against enemies. And if I hadn't yanked you out of Balashika, you bullshitter, the Hansa troops would have put you on the ground right there, before you even knew what hit you. It wasn't you who yanked me out. It was the old man. Not because he felt sorry for me, but in order to save his shitty equipment, that's all. He told you to whack me. Me. Think about it. Who am I to him? His son-in-law, his daughter's husband, but he still sentenced me to death. But I didn't whack you. Well, thanks a fucking bunch. You're welcome. And what reason is there to kill me? Because I know about the jammers? Because I know they mess with people's heads? Or what? If I happen to object when he gives the red cartridges? 20,000 cartridges. 20,000! You were treated to a good helping yourself today. It's time to stop being such a dumb fuck. So at least the war will stop. That was Moskvin's condition. So that's what the old man meant when he said at any price. He said it would have to be paid. Just 20, right? So were we supposed to get more of our boys pulverized? Arrange another bunker? Artyom turned away. Was that Moskvin there? I recognized him. Moskvin, and the other one was Besilov. Who is Besilov and Hansa? Some kind of big shot. I can't fucking tell them apart. You're lying, said Artyom, sure of himself. You know. Who is he? Fuck off. He passed on the envelope to the Fuhrer, for the Fuhrer through our old man, and the cartridges for the General Secretary. He did it, and the old man reports to him, doesn't he? To Alexei Fixilovich. How come? How did he get such a grip on them? Those shitty jeeps? So, Hansa picked us up off our feet. When was it you cleared off? After the bunker. You took your Anya and ran out on us like liquid shit. And what could we do? How many of us were left after the bunker? Maybe half? No, full of holes. Not for Hansa, we'd have fallen to pieces. That would have been the end of it. The old man did what he could. No one else was willing to help. But what else could he do with no legs and one arm? Hang himself? We're all... And where were we supposed to turn into mercenaries? Being a mercenary is more honest than being in your order now. You fuck off, alright? Do you at least understand what he paid for those off-roaders and the sniper rifles and those little caps? Our boys. It was Hansa who set us up, Lekaya. He asked them to come. When we were in the bunker, we called them, and they didn't come. Some great help landing us with their wankers instead of our boys, who were killed because of them. He sold them. He sold them to Hansa. It's not possible. There must be a reason. And what was the reason for bumping me off? What if you were a spy or a saboteur? You tried to break the shield. What if you were playing against us and you wormed your way back in? He said, if you tried to disrupt the peace agreement or put the delivery in danger, then who's spy? Who's saboteur? America's. You got in touch with them with your high-rise and what? Help them target missiles again at my own people, at my wife and my father-in-law, at you, you jerk? You were sold. I was sold. All our boys were sold. And their souls, too. As a job lot. That's what happened. Got that? They sacrificed themselves, that's all. And the Reds, it had to be done. It was hard, but it's necessary. Now it's time to join forces, Artyom, if only with the Reds. There's a different enemy, a genuine enemy. It's hard to forget the boys, I know. If the old man can't forget them himself. You saw how he drinks with them every day. He doesn't drink with them, he just boozes. He boozes because he used to be a hero, and he turned into a roly-poly toy. No fucking arms and no legs. And if he really thinks the war with the West isn't over, it isn't over, the guy roared. How come you can't see that? Does he have any proof? This Veselov. How did he prove to you that the war's still going on? You've been brainwashed. How did he get such a tight grip on your balls? You're the one who's brainwashed. They're always there, creeping out of every crack. They want to wipe us off the face of the earth. Bastard. Artyom skipped onto his sound leg. You can't prove a thing. Can't prove a thing to anyone. And what have you proved to me? If there aren't any enemies, then what's the point? What's the point? Yes, I don't know. Then get off my back. Artyom thought for a moment. He thought, started hobbling away. Where are you going? The guys shouted after him. You're right, Artyom replied to himself without looking back. You're right, there has to be a point. It's just that we don't understand it yet. And your old man doesn't understand it. It's Finolop. Pretty certainly doesn't understand it. Good job, there's someone to ask. Wait, Artyom! A guy caught up with Artyom at Lubyanka Square and handed him his own gas mask. Take it, I don't need to get there. Artyom didn't argue. He spat in the mask's eyes and put it on. He droned to Legaya. Thanks, there's no way I can croak ahead of time now. He dragged himself lamely downhill from Lubyanka, past the Bolshoi Theater with its coach and four that had plunged over the cliff, past the tearless fountains, past the hotels for guests from the next world, past the dogged streets, the mute parliament and the Kremlin pretending to be dead, with extinguished stars and walls to keep out no one. Somewhere here. He stopped. It was dark. How had he done it? Where had he been standing? Blood was oozing out of Artyom's twice-shot shoulder, as if he had no end of it inside him. He was beginning to feel bad without it. Weak, but he kept on searching, and trying to remember. He shuffled in one direction for a while, then in another. The feeble moon wasn't much use. They couldn't see black on black, and it didn't give Artyom any help. He went down on all fours, crawled, fumbling at the rough asphalt with his hands. He fished out a stone a shoe once, another time a door handle that had dropped in the middle of the roadway. Leoka and that guy walked up. "What are you looking for?" "The answer," Artyom joked and laughed hoarsely into his own rubber ears. Then it turned up. It winked to Artyom in the moonlight from a slight parting of the curtains of a cloud. Lying there on the grayish-black asphalt was a grayish-black revolver, Svidnilov's execution nagant. Artyom picked it up, a heavy, blunt, baleful weapon, exactly what Artyom needed right now. What had he come here for? It turned out that nothing in this business could be understood without it. This blued Finnish gun was the very one he needed to stick down Besilov's throat. He could breathe through it for a while and explain to Artyom why people had to stay in the metro. "Is that all?" Leoka asked him. "No, there's more." Artyom looked at him. "Now we go to the brothel." Thank you. That was Chapter 18 of Metro 2035, titled Active Service. Thank you for listening, and good night.